Hello. Who likes vampires? What does it have to do with fragrance? What does that have to do with film?
Story time.
1994's Interview with a Vampire, starring Brad Pitt, Antonio Banderas, Tom Cruise, and Kirsten Dunst. I cannot tell you how many times I've watched this movie. It's a 2-hour film. It's 2 hours. They really make the vampires look flawless and stunning, and
this what fame look like. This what success look like. This what money look like.
Very alluring. And I think that's the world of Anne Rice's vampires. Mystical, beautiful, tragic creatures. And the reason why it's called Interview with a Vampire is because we're interviewing Louis as a vampire. So as he's telling his story, he is a plantation owner. He basically spends the majority of his time going to bars, gambling away all of his money after the death of his wife and child. And there's rumors that apparently Brad Pitt was extremely depressed during this entire shooting process, which I'm sorry for him being depressed, but it just fits his character so well. Just so tormented. He starts off about how he meets Lestat. He just lures him out into the back alley and says, "I can give you everything that you want and more." Gives him what he calls a gift. He does so in such a tempting way that there was no way he was going to say no. And this is the pinnacle of their relationship. This is the reason why they come to head all the time, is because Lestat is just such a temptress within himself. He is the epitome of a narcissist and will do whatever it takes for him to get what he wants.
Oh, Louis is open to it. Still whining, Louis.
And what he wanted was Louis at that time. God, one of the slaves ended up being Tandy Newton, a very young Tandy Newton. And I was like, excuse me? Oh my god, is this the film that her and Tom Cruise first worked on together? Because then she goes and do Mission Impossible 2, and she is amazing in Mission Impossible 2. I've just realized that they see each other again. If I could ever meet her, I'd be like, is Tom Cruise as much of a narcissist in real life as he portrays himself to be in news? Who the fuck starts jumping on Oprah's couch? They end up having a child. Not in the traditional sense. They make one. Maybe we should just have kids then. If you want to go so bad, let's have a kid. Which ends up being a mistake. This is played by Kirsten Dunst, Claudia. She doesn't age. She's trapped in this childlike body, yet another tortured soul. Which today, this is the most controversial part of the entire film. Back then, I don't know why we didn't clock on. We were like, why is this grown-ass man kissing a fully 8, 9-year-old? Weird. But at the time I was like, oh. What's this? The vampire equivalent of a Charlie Chaplin comes in, played by Stephen Rea. Which in my head I thought that's what they were trying to do in this entire scene, was just emulate Charlie Chaplin. He is just the messenger, and walks Antonio Banderas. And anybody that tells me Antonio Banderas was not absolutely loving his wig be lying to me. Liza Minnelli.
I said what I said.
They've killed Lestat, by the way. They just poisoned him. He's dead. He's no longer with us. Armand, who in this portrayal, I think he's the oldest vampire. What do you say? He's over 2,000 years old. That's what he says. I could be wrong. This troupe of vampires who have made this Parisian theater group that they think is a play, but it's not. It's actually just a den of vampires. There's actually somebody for real being killed. They end up trapping Claudia, the sunlight to come in, and they are slowly burned alive.
I feel sorry for that bitch. I don't.
Filming of it is the filming of it is the image of these two will always be seared in my brain. Anne Rice likes to make her deaths for all of her vampires something very poetic and tragic. That is exactly what it is, because her entire life was just cursed. Louis obviously upset. Louis has now lost the love of his life. He always wanted a child, and now his child is gone. He is alone in the world. Ro goes ham, goes in, takes a scythe, a way to be dramatic. Like, I am death.
I'm the Green Reaper. Nobody got time for that.
And takes everybody down. All but Armand. And he, oh, probably didn't mention this, he has the power to read minds. And he says to Armand, like, so you knew I'd do what I do. And he was like, yeah, but I want you to stay with me now. Lestat, who cares about him? It's you and me. And this scene between the two of them is probably like the most intimate any men get in a scene. And it just builds that sexual tension between the two. And then throughout the whole film, there's no release. Never happens. It is very queer-baity, this film, and this is where it gets so tragic. He has this conversation with Brad Pitt, and he's like, you're over 2,000 years old, and you still have nothing to live for. Burn. As problematic as it is, I still watch it time and time again. He leaves Armand, and he just goes to live his life, and lives through the ages. He gets to see cinema. He says he gets to see his first sunrise. And one night he says he smells something quite familiar. It is Lestat!
Hey, queen.
Still alive! And he don't know what's going on. He's basically like a vampire dementia patient, just trying to figure out life and what be going on out. And he's trying to tempt Louis back into his web of lies, lust, and deceit. Louis is like, no. You are fully on your own. And I think that is a fate worse than death, to not have anybody be there next to you as you have to live out this very long life. And I think that's the tragedy that is a vampire. Louis decides to just live and tell his story so that others don't go into his fate. I absolutely adore this film. Like, it's problematic as fuck, but it's got so many great actors in it, and it's very rare that you have so many amazing actors in one film that is actually good and like has a storyline that you can follow, basically glued till you get to the very end. And it was supposed to be, I guess, a series, a trilogy of films before the Twilight films, which never happened. But I hope they visit some of her other books and decide to make them films, because I watch it. Although Queen of the Damned was a box office hit that people wanted it to be, I still watched it and loved every minute of it. It had one of the best soundtracks of a vampire film ever, hands down. The scent that I picked, I wanted something sultry, seductive, bit of pathos, bit of allure, something that will last and stick out in your mind. Oud Satin Mood. These are Francis Kirchhoff. This is what I think a vampire would smell like, or what fragrance they would wear if they wanted to entice you on any occasion, sort of lure you in. I got a little sample, and this is not a cheap perfume by any means. Even getting a little sample of this was got oud in it. Let's look at the notes. Notes of vanilla, rose, oud, violet, and benzoin. We get that bit of rose, you get the little bit of vanilla, very woody. Probably gonna be one of my favorite fragrances that I've discovered this year. And hearing notes about it before I even smelt it, I was like, I'm gonna want a bottle, and I cannot afford it. It's like £235 for like, it's like a 50 ml. Immediately get that smell of violet and the benzoin, and oud comes up, and I feel like the vanilla a little while to sort of release. It is a beast mode fragrance. You do not need a lot. It will last forever. I've been doing quite a few samples of things, and this one stayed on for 8 hours at least. I realized that I really like oud fragrances because they macerate on my skin in a way that really opens up and becomes quite sweet. Even though this one is a little bit floral, I'm not a big fan of rose. I think that vanilla and that oud mixture really kind of knocks out the floral notes just a little bit, just enough that it's wearable for me. And because it's violet, and not iris, which iris I find sometimes can go a bit stagnant on my skin, turn really sour. Like it actually turns sour. I love this fragrance. I think it's one that anyone would easily pick up. I know people talk about Maison Francis Kurkdjian, Lily Gold, and Grand Soir, and they talk about Baccarat Rouge, which are all great. In my opinion, this is one of the best that I've smelled and that I would definitely save up to get. It's amazing. I thought it would be a great pairing with one of my favorite movies, one of my favorite scents. Just wanted to say as well about Gentle Fluidity, for some reason it doesn't last on my skin. I've got a dupe of it. It lasts on my skin. Don't know how they did it, but I find that a lot of the dupes sometimes be kicking the ass. But this one, the dupe, is not even close. Could not come close. I really hope, players, please give me some suggestions for some other fragrances that I need to try, some other films that I need to watch, pairings that you guys can think of, and I hope I see you on the next one.